and welcome to Talking Tech. Today we're joined by Wayne Arthur, CEO of Skyfii Limited. Thanks for joining us, Wayne.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks for being here.
So just kicking off, for viewers that don't really know Skyfii too well, can you just talk us through the sort of a high-level overview of what you do, and also, I guess, the business model in terms of how you make your money?
Sure. So we're an Australian-based technology company. We've built a software platform that is a location-based analytics tool and also a real-time marketing platform. So we work with large public spaces, physical spaces such as malls, airports, convention centers, casinos, these types of areas. We help them understand big data. We analyze the data through the platform. We provide back actionable insights and also a platform for them to communicate to their customers in real time.
Right.
The business model it's pure SaaS, so software as a service, and we sell these venues a license fee to access the analytics and the data, and a separate subscription license fee for them to actually be able to market in real time to their customers.
Okay. In terms of the competitive pressures, so there's, especially in the States, there's quite a few companies in this space and retail analytics out there. What do you think the key criteria for your customers are to engage with you guys rather than someone else?
Look, it is a good question. The analytics space in the retail sector is I guess competitive. Where we play though, it's not as much. We're specifically focused on location-based analytics, so physical movements and behaviours of people within these spaces. Our core USP is we've got a very deep analytics base. In terms of our platform offering, the fact that we combine not just an ability for people to look at physical movement habits and behaviours through our tool, but also be able to market to people in real time is a differentiator. But also we've focused our resources and our efforts on data science capabilities. So over the past 4 years we've built up a very significant IP in the retail location and analytics space specifically. We observe now over 600 million customer visits annually in spaces. We have a communicable database of over 8.5 million people that we can communicate to. So that's a very clear differentiator for us as well.
Just on that point, do you think that database of unique users, I guess that's sort of the core value for Skyfii, right? So expanding that, getting the data around their sort of behavior, and then monetizing that.
Yeah, look, that's one way to look at it. Absolutely, the 8 million database is significant, and we of those individuals we obviously have a lot of history and in terms of behavior, intent, but to be honest, the major component of our data set is actually anonymous. So we observe a little over 75 million unique MAC IDs, which we know very little about except the location of the actual device. And so
MAC ID is, just to be clear on that, that's the identifier of a mobile phone, right?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, any wireless device. And so that information allows us to anonymously understand physical movement habits and behaviours of people in a de-identified fashion. So we don't actually need to know who the person is or any specific data about them. So it's a completely anonymous event, but it does give rise to a large amount of our reports in terms of how people are moving through assets, where people are spending time, how often they're visiting, and those types of things.
Can you use that information also to sort of zoom out from a regional area into, say, more a national-wide overlay of the characteristics of that particular group that you have?
Yeah, we can. So our data set is obviously linked to, in most cases, Wi-Fi and the wireless network. So as far as that footprint can spread, that's as far as the view in terms of we can have in terms of people's behaviours. So we can only observe at this point through the Wi-Fi network, but we're building out our capability to be able to ingest other technologies as well. So part of our business model moving forward is to become data source agnostic. So Wi-Fi is the predominant data source. We're starting to broaden out into things like CCTV, BLE for Bluetooth, RFID, and other things will follow in the future. So we'll be able to expand our view of behavior.
Right. And so looking at digital marketing, which is a huge market, Facebook, Google are sort of the dominant players in that space with a huge market share. I think it's around 70%. How can companies such as Skyfii compete with their offering, first of all, and I guess also the granularity of the data they have? How does that work? Where are you sort of Where do you have an edge, basically? On that?
Yeah, look, we actually wouldn't compete with those companies. We would complement. I think we're a fairly complementary offering because Facebook and Google obviously have a lot of data on customers through their platforms. We have one specific data set that they don't typically always have, which is a physical location of a person or a device at any moment.
Right.
And so I think we provide an additional component to their offering. So I would see them as partners rather than competitors.
Right. Okay. Your current customer list is quite impressive already. In your short existence, just a couple of years, basically, you've built out a very interesting customer base. Recently, you signed Woolworths South Africa. Given their huge number of venues, how significant is that deal for you guys? Not just in terms of the numbers of venues, but potentially also in the broader African market.
Yeah, look, it's very significant. Obviously, it's a highly recognizable brand. It is for us a beachhead contract win in the African market. Obviously, through a brand there that is very very well known and recognized. The initial deal for us is a 5-year deal. It does carry significant recurring revenues for the company. That's the first, obviously, an important notion. It's a 500 venue rollout initially, so 500 of Woolworths stores across South Africa and the Africa region. But they also own several other entities around the world, including David Jones and Country Road here in Australia. So our contract with Woolworths is with the holding company. And so it does apply to the other entities as well. So we've got a significant upsell opportunity, particularly here in Australia.
Right. And so longer term, looking at the breakup of revenues in recurring and non-recurring, how do you see that developing? Because as you know, investors typically like predictable recurring revenues in SaaS models.
So do we.
Yeah.
Look, the split today for us would be probably 70-30, so 70% recurring and 30% once-off implementation fees. I don't think it's feasible that we will completely wipe out the implementation component because it is a part and parcel of our product. But look, I would say we might improve to 80-20, but it's I think we're almost there. Basically.
Yeah. Okay.
So look, our entire business focus is on building up our recurring revenue base, and we've had almost 100% quarter-on-quarter growth over the last 2 years. So we're doing the right things there, and we're pretty pleased with the progress. Okay,
so if you look out, say, 12 months, what do you think the key milestones are for Skyfii? What can investors sort of look forward to, and link that back to your strategy that you have in place right now?
Look, it's all about fast-tracking revenue growth for us. We're conscious of our burn as well, and keeping a close eye on that. But ultimately, it's about growing our top-line revenue. And so we've introduced 2 new revenue streams into our existing customer base this year, and we'll build out on those, specifically around our ability to advertise and market to customers in these venues. We're seeing significant uptake of that product, and so investors can look out for growth on that revenue line. But also data science. So data science is becoming a really key differentiator for us as a standalone revenue channel. So specifically data science referring to our ability to consult to these big companies around the data, solving specific business outcomes, such as helping them understand precinct usage and analysis. So we see that growing significantly over the next 12 to 18 months. It also acts as a very good pull-through revenue line for the rest of our product as well. So we will continue our consolidation of our leadership position here in Australia and New Zealand. But there's a very significant focus on the US and the UK expansion. I'm actually, spending a lot more of my time over there as a result. So investors can look out for specifically the UK, some good wins in the near term in the retail vertical as well.
Okay. And then I guess finally looking at sort of valuation of the company, there's a lot of VC-funded companies in the States, especially. We've seen interesting multiples, on the M&A side for companies, within your sector. So up to 10, 20 times revenues, which is quite impressive, of course. But there's not a lot of listed companies in Australia in this space. There are a few, but very small. How do you guys look at valuation going forward, and how should investors basically value you guys?
Look, it's a great question, and I sympathise with the Australian market because technology it can be difficult to understand. The things to look for us, though, we like companies you mentioned, Facebook and Google, and it's obviously flattering to be named in that group, obviously, but it's about market share, it's about top-line revenue growth, it's about footprint for us, and so these are the key indicators of success of the company in the short to medium term, is where as we're obviously I guess in a cash burn phase.
Yeah.
So for us, it's about fast tracking top line revenues, as I've described. We're continuing to convert beachhead contracts with globally recognizable names on 5-year contract terms. I mean, these are significant deals. So Westfield, Woolworths, and a bunch of others, here and to come. So, we're doing something right, obviously, and these companies are not just booking and converting contracts with us, but they're actually renewing as well. So we've had absolutely zero churn of customers to date. So top line revenue growth, no churn. These are the things that I think we should be valued on. I agree. We've got peers in our space, particularly in the US market, that are that are touting significantly higher valuations than what we're currently valued at. But look, we're here for the long term, and I think investors should also view us that way as well.
Right. Okay. Excellent, Wayne. Well, thanks for your time. It seems like we've got a lot to look forward to in the coming couple of years. Thanks for being here.
Great.
And good luck.
Very much. Thanks, Mark.